Introducing networking with Quantic. Now your POS setup is going to require networking so that devices can talk to each other through a network. Now every network's a little bit different depending on your store location, the way everything is set up, but the foundational principles will always still apply, which is that you're going to have a device that's receiving the internet, and then you're going to have a device that's pushing internet to the rest of your equipment. Today, we're going to talk about the various different types of networking equipment that you're going to be using, as well as how to connect it all together and to set up all the various different Quantic equipment for the POS. In today's example, this black box here is going to represent the modem. Now, your cable or internet provider is generally going to provide you with one of these. It could be a modem, it could be a modem router combo. Either one is going to work for our example today. Next, what we have here is this is our Meraki router. So this is a dedicated POS network that's specific for all of your equipment. This helps eliminate any type of traffic overlapping in between the various different internet needs of your site. Starting with these two devices, they're going to generally be in the same spot. So maybe you have a closet with networking or an area in your basement or an attic or in a side office where this equipment can be found. So the first step I need to do is I need to connect this modem to my new router. To do that, both need to be plugged in with power. You can see I already have mine plugged in with power. And the next is to take a network cable and plug them into both. Now both sides are going to be the same, so it doesn't really matter which side you pick. But first, let's go ahead and plug the cable into our modem. Now if I spin this one over, we can see we've got a lot of different ports back here. I'm going to go ahead and plug this into one of them. Now with that cable plugged into there, I'm going to take the other end of that cable and plug it into my router. Now specifically for the Meraki router, you can see that this first port here says Internet 1. That means if it's going to receive internet, it needs to go into this port. You can ignore the other ones for now. All right, there we go. So now we've completed step one. We've gotten internet running from our modem to our POS router. Now that we have internet running to our POS router from our modem, now we want to route this internet to all the other devices that we have in store. Now this can look like a lot of different things, but a common example is a network line is going to be running from the closet or the office to all the other areas or rooms in the space. To replicate that, we're going to imagine that this cable here, this network cable that I have, this cable represents a line or a run going to wherever your POS station is going to be. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to take this cable and we're going to plug it into the router. Now in the previous video, the line that went from the internet, from the modem, went into the port that said Internet 1. So now I can take this cable and I can plug it into port number 2. If you hear that click, generally it means you got the cable in the port. So like I said, this cable is going to run as a line that goes through your space. It's going to end up where a POS station is. So a common example of where this might end up is, say, a network switch. So that's what this little box is here with the 5 different ports. If you don't know what a network switch is, it works kind of like a power strip, kind of like with one of these things. It makes it so that everything plugged into it can all communicate together. So I'm going to run internet from my router into my switch. Much like water flow or airflow, I want you to imagine now that the internet connectivity is going from the modem to the router and now to the switch, which means that any device I plug into the switch is going to receive internet. It can be a receipt printer, it can be a laptop, it could be a TV, whatever you've got that has a network port where you can plug a cable in is now going to receive internet as long as this is getting internet, and so is this. Now in the example of a POS station, I'm going to start connecting some of these ports to some equipment. For instance, let's say I have an iPad here in my enclosure, and I also have an adapter plugged into it. This allows for hardwiring my iPad to the rest of the network. Hardwiring is a little bit more reliable than Wi-Fi. So in the example that we're discussing right now, I'm going to take a network cable and I'm going to plug it from the switch into my adapter. First, I'm going to take my network cables that I've been using, plug it into the switch. Then I'm going to take this network cable and I'm going to plug it into the adapter. Now, with the cable running from the switch to the iPad, my iPad is now getting internet from the rest of my setup. Now that we have network running to our iPad, let's grab a few other parts of the station that we're going to build. For instance, let's grab a receipt printer. Receipt printers also require a network connection, and we can do that by setting a network cable from the switch to the receipt printer. So just like with the other equipment, I'm going to take my network cable, I'm going to plug it into the switch like this. Then I'm going to take my cable here, and I'm going to run it into the network port of the receipt printer. Now, every receipt printer, the back of it's going to look a little bit different, but as long as it's networked, it's just going to have a port like the rest that I'm going to plug this cable into. So now for my POS station, I've got the iPad in an enclosure, I've got a receipt printer, and now the last thing that I'm going to need for my station is a card reader. Now in today's video, we're going to be using what's called a PAX A80, and we use this one because it does have an internet connection that you can use hardwired. When I take the device and I flip it on its backside, you can see that it's got little labels and stickers that tell you what cable goes where. So as a result, I need to put a network cable in this port right here, which is commonly known as the LAN port. So let's grab another network cable. Now they can all be different colors. It doesn't matter what color it is. This one happens to be yellow. The other ones I was using was black. So I'm going to use this end, put it into the switch like I did with the other devices. Then I'm going to run this cable across to wherever it needs to go. And then I'm going to take the cable and plug it into the LAN port of the PAX A80. Now you may have a card reader that's completely wireless and you won't have to worry about this. But in any case, now that I have a cable going to my card reader and my receipt printer and my iPad, I am now a fully networked setup. But sometimes you need more than just a POS station. Maybe you have a kitchen printer that needs to be connected to network, or maybe you have an access point that needs to be connected that way your mobile units can receive Wi-Fi. So for instance, our kitchen printer, once again, you can see that I've got network lines running. Now this line may come from a closet or from an office. It also might come from a switch. So what we need to do is we want to make sure the network line connects from our newly established network into our kitchen printer. To do so, the line runs through the ceiling, through the wall, wherever it needs to be. Maybe it comes through a port. And then from that port, I'm going to take my network cable, I'm going to plug it into the network port of the printer. Now I also mentioned the access point. If you're using a Meraki router and you need Wi-Fi for your devices, then you're going to need an access point. Now an access point can be plugged in anywhere in your store or in your location that has a network line ran. It can be right next to the router, it can be at your POS station, it can be run up a wall somewhere along in your main area. In any case, we just need a network line that's going to run to the access point. So I'm going to take my black cable here, and I'm going to grab my access point. And on the underside of the device, you can see I've got my power port here where it's already plugged into power, and then I've got my network port. I'm going to take my cable here and plug it into here. All right, so now with my network setup, I know I'm getting internet from my modem to my router and then to my switch. And then from my switch, I'm connecting this to a access point as well as a kitchen printer. And that is networking with Quantic. Thank you for watching today's video from Quantic POS Training Center. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the like button below. And make sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates and to join our growing community. Also, be sure to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon so you never miss an upload. See you next time!